it soccer or football? Because I'm getting a little bit frustrated.
Well, you know what? I don't even understand that question. There is no such a thing as soccer. Where I'm come from is called culture, but in any case, it's football. So we should get it straight. It's football. There is no soccer. You got it?
Well, you did a bit of research. In fact, I did a bit of research as well. And here's proof that this is called football and not soccer.
In my country, this is football.
Adriana Lima.
Adriana Lima.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with Adriana Lima. Welcome, Papua New Guinea, and good night to you. Thanks for joining us here on Football First. Now, Marco, tonight we're going to take a look at the Olympic qualifiers for the women. We've got a bit on the under-17 girls. You took a look at that video as well against Vanuatu. Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll be taking a look at Sepp Blatter.
What a story.
What a story indeed. But tonight, however, we will start off by taking a look at Papua New Guinea defeating Vanuatu to top the pool and also qualifying for the semi-finals in the Under-17 Oceania Championships. Fiji marked their first ever OFC Under-17 Women's Championships match with a 3-0 victory over the Cook Islands, while Papua New Guinea produced a comprehensive 7-1 rout of Vanuatu on the first day of Group B action. The game was only 2 minutes old when Belinda Guiara chested down and sent the ball into the back of the net with a powerful shot on the Vanuatu keeper Ruth Tate. Vanuatu visiting the attacking end a number of times themselves over the next few minutes. It was Papua New Guinea who found the goal once again, scoring via Anna Malara. By halftime, Guiara had collected her hat-trick and Papua New Guinea were ahead by 4 goals to 0. A fourth for Guiara 2 minutes into the second half propelled her to the top of the Golden Boot rankings and struck a crucial blow to Vanuatu. Both sides dropping intensity over the next half hour with the ball recycling through the midfield. A couple of quick-fire goals in the 80th and 82nd minutes to substitutes Mercedes Apoto, who had been on the field for just 2 minutes, and Selina Unamba took Papua New Guinea out to an impressive 7-0 lead. A Vanuatu penalty a minute into added time was converted by Annie Guerre, and at least restored some pride for Joel Varua's side. PNG coach Margaret Aka spoke of her relief at getting through the game after her squad only arrived in Rarotonga 5 hours prior to kickoff.
To get the first win, it's really good for the girls, and not having to rest the last couple of days, I would say. For me, it was a little bit nervous for the girls because they didn't have a good rest. But to get this first win, it was exciting, and I think the girls will take it from there on.
And we wish the PNG under-17s all the best in the rest of the competition. Marco, over the weekend, Telikom National Soccer League.
It was a pleasure to watch. I mean, every single game for me is worth watching, no doubt. And this was one of them. Many chances of scoring goals. It was a vertical game. It was a bit hot, so it was not easy to play that sort of football under that kind of climatic conditions. I just would like to see a bigger crowd. That's my personal thing. I think football is a game that needs a crowd, needs supporters. And so in a way, I'm kind of asking people, come to see these games at the Bicini ground, because there is a lot of action from here to the rest of the year, and it's good to be there.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look at the Olympic qualifiers, which women that took part in the Pacific Games will be taking part in, and that is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is such an important game, so we should definitely look at it.
Welcome back to Football First. Marco, Pacific Games, you were a very excited person watching the performances of the national women's team.
Sounds like I'm always excited, actually, so absolutely, this is one of them. And there is a really big game coming up. I think Papua New Guinea performed extremely well during the Pacific Games, but when you're looking at an Olympic qualifier game and you're facing a team like New Zealand, it's a different ball game. Will the Queens of the Pacific up for it? I think they will. I've seen a team that I was really impressed during the games, physically and mentally extremely strong, even, I must say, better than the boys in many aspects. Now, New Zealand, we know this is a team that reached the quarterfinals at the last World Cup, so they know their game. They were eliminated by United States of America that ended up...
Who then went on to win the tournament.
Exactly. So you're facing a top team. It will be interesting to see how they perform under that sort of pressure. But just think about it. I mean, what it means to have Oceania represented at the next Olympic Games by Papua New Guinea. What an opportunity for this country. So if they could pull off a fantastic game, it would be the best gift for 2016 when it comes to football. So I really hope that it's going to happen, and it will be great to see it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of performances, in fact, let's take a look at Papua New Guinea versus New Zealand over the past few years. For Papua New Guinea, the chance to reach the pinnacle of success has been a long, hard road, and one that has to yet be fully realized. Success for the men on the international stage has been a relatively disappointing prospect. Only recently, during the Pacific Games, did the last-minute goal by Alwyn Comalong, captain for the young PNG side, ensure a bronze medal after 28 years. But it has really been the PNG women who have brought with them a shining light to the country's rather gloomy state of football. The PNG women's national football team has been one of the most consistent international sides representing the country in any sport for well over a decade. 4 Pacific Games gold medals has earned the squad the mantle of Queens of the Pacific.
Deliver gold for this crowd and those watching.
Strong performances, backed by a vocal home crowd, saw them barnstorm their way to the top of the Pacific Games. And a narrow but much-earned victory over New Caledonia in the gold medal playoff will forever be etched in the memories of football fans in the country.
This must be a goal. Yes, it is. Papua New Guinea in front. Murray Kaifu has opened the scoring in the 21st minute. Listen to the crowd. They're going off. Hubert Murray Stadium erupt.
That victory over a tenacious New Caledonia, earning the hosts a crack at the Olympics.
That's it, and there it is. Congratulations. Have won gold 4 in a row. Listen to
Or rather, an opportunity to prove they are good enough to get there. And they have a tough task ahead of them. Unlike the emerging Pacific nations who are only beginning to assert themselves on a regional platform and who lack the same amount of playing experience, Papua New Guinea will be taking on New Zealand. PNG may be the queens of the Pacific, but they have yet to advance beyond the qualifiers for a World Cup, and in this case, the Olympics for real. New Zealand themselves have all the right to be favourites. Strong performances, including a quarter-final showing against eventual winners the United States in the Women's World Cup, showed that this is a side that is willing and ready to take on the world. And in their way stand Papua New Guinea. Historically, PNG has never beaten New Zealand. The nearest and most positive result, a 3-0 loss in Kokopo. Much praise had been given to then-coach Gary Phillips, although his belief was that the country had the potential to do more, as befitting their status.
Especially for the young players, I think they have developed a good understanding of the game, and also they've worked together as a team. I think from the previous game, from the previous outing and this, I think they're more focused now.
In 2016, however, it isn't Phillips who leads the ship. American Lisa Cole has been brought in to take charge of the squad, although her absence this time may erupt a slight show of concern. Cole herself has had good background in women's football across the college and premier divisions of America's vast playing structure. And while she has conceded that there is a lot of work that still needs to be done for the country in terms of its women in football, she also holds the same belief that her predecessor did. Papua New Guinea can do it.
Papua New Guinea lead 1-0.
And we wish the women all the best this weekend as they take on heavyweights New Zealand. Marco, your thoughts on everything you've just seen?
Well, I mean, as we just mentioned, this is a top team. You can even see physically they're very strong. The way they're very well positioned in the pitch, so it's going to be a tough game, but it's exciting. I mean, in the past, obviously, they had the right hand on Papua New Guinea, but football is interesting because it keeps on changing. There is evolution in the game, and there is evolution also in nation playing football. Many years we've seen in the past teams that never won anything, and all of a sudden Spain is one of them. For years they struggled, they never managed to win anything international, and then in the last 10 years they'll be dominating the international scene. I'm not saying that Papua New Guinea will go on and win their next Olympic Games, but I think there could be time of changes in this part of the world, and perhaps Papua New Guinea can actually do it and represent Oceania in the next Olympic Games. That would be fantastic.
Well, we know that the country is behind our women's national team. And another big event that will be happening later on this year is, of course, the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Papua New Guinea. And Marco will be catching up with Seamus Martin, the CEO of the local organizing committee for the World Cup.
And Papua New Guinea now has an opportunity to put itself, on the map.
Welcome back to Football First. Now, Marco, over the weekend as well, we had a chance to catch up with Seamus Martins. And here's a long thing about his name. Seamus Martins is the CEO of the local organizing committee for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup 2016 Papua New Guinea.
Wow. Hats off. I don't know how can you remember all of that, but that's quite impressive. We were looking actually for a tag, how to sort of simplify all of that, the initials, and we're sort of working out how can we call it in a much more simpler and approachable way, but well done with that. Shame, it was a very interesting man. I think that's what this country needs also, people with an international experience that can bring that sort of international flavor into PNG when it comes to football. He has a long experience in New Zealand, in Australia, I believe, very knowledgeable man. So this is what we need. We need to lift the standard of the sport, I think, everywhere, not only on the pitch, but also outside in the administration, in the management, and people that can think what to do with such a precious thing, such as football. So I think very, very interesting to keep on talking to him as we progress over the year. Yeah, definitely.
And he did have a lot to say. In fact, let's take a look at Seamus Martin, CEO for the organizing committee for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. In terms of actual preparation, where are we at this stage?
Yeah, I think in terms of football in the country, it's been a good ride so far. We had the success of the Pacific Games last year, obviously, and from a women's football context, Papua New Guinea taking their 4th gold medal, so the undisputed queens of the Pacific. We were surprised last year with a visit of David Beckham to Mount Hagen on non-football business, but able to tie in football to that visit as well, and to highlight the sport in the country. And of course, next weekend, Papua New Guinea and New Zealand play for an opportunity at the Rio Olympics, and then Telikom NSL has been going along. We've got the OFC Nations Cup to look forward to as well, and then culminating in the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup here in Papua New Guinea in November. So yeah, a big year for football in the country, and an opportunity, I think, for the sport to really put itself on the map, not only here, also regionally, but also internationally as well.
How important is this competition for this country?
I think it's huge. I mean, the Pacific Games obviously was a massive event. Thousands of participants, of athletes, of officials. The Under-20 Women's World Cup is a smaller event in terms of the number of people that are coming here, but in terms probably of the broadcast reach and the international reach of the tournament, it's a fantastic opportunity for Papua New Guinea to not only talk about sport, but to talk about social issues, to talk about tourism opportunities and business opportunities as well. So football is one of the few truly global sports. If you ask me, it is the only global sport, and Papua New Guinea now has an opportunity to put itself, on the map with other countries who have hosted this tournament before, like Russia, like Chile, like Germany, like Japan, and like Canada. So again, the country is joining an illustrious list of nations that have hosted this event in the past, and an opportunity to add to the history of this nation and the fabric of this nation as well.
The last time that we met, which was at the launching of the Telikom National Soccer League, preparations had only just begun for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup later on this year. Now you've had the opportunities to travel outside, especially you made mention about heading over to Japan. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to take a small delegation to Japan for the FIFA Club World Cup in December. For me, I've been lucky enough to participate in a few of these tournaments in various capacities, so it was just an opportunity for me to freshen up on things that have happened, and I would say with a confidence that operationally there's not too much that is very, very difficult. It's a very standardized blueprint, a very standardized model that FIFA operate, and it's just an opportunity to make sure that we have a fit for PNG model to deliver those outcomes. So it was good, but I think one thing, I referenced the Paris attacks. Lots of things that happen around the world, because this is a truly global sport, impact the way FIFA view things. They're a multinational organization, they're a high-profile organization, and things that we might not realize have an impact on us here in Papua New Guinea do have an impact on us. And that's one of the things that we have to think beyond the borders of this country alone, and look at what's happening around the world, not only from a political standpoint, but also from a sports standpoint as well. Sport gambling, match fixing, all of these sorts of issues may not be a big deal here, but for people around the world, they may see this as an opportunity to look to exploit maybe some of that naivety. So we've got to be really across a lot of these issues.
Now, in terms of Port Moresby itself, they will be hosting a number of these matches. How are preparations actually going?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no secret, and I've said it a number of times, that the infrastructure project is our biggest challenge and is our focus right now. We've got the Sir John Guy Stadium, which was completed for the Pacific Games, which needs some minor works to help those operations. Just over the back here we've got the National Football Stadium, which is progressing really, really well, and that looks to be a fantastic facility. Everybody knows Sir Hubert Murray, is still in construction phase, and it'd be probably remiss to say that there are not some concerns around it, but we're confident of working with the government and with the developers, Curtin Brothers, to make sure that everything is where it needs to be when it needs to be as well. And then of course the development here at the Seni Sporting Complex, so that will be a smaller scale project, a 5,000 seat built for purpose facility which will stay here for use of sports moving forward. So it's another legacy opportunity following on from the Pacific Games. So a lot of preparation goes in behind the scenes, and while there may not be evidence of actual work on the ground in the middle of January, there are things going on behind the scenes to make sure that we reach those targets.
Seamus Martins, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And Seamus Martin is indeed a very interesting person. With the Under-20 World Cup coming up, the potential visitors coming here to Papua New Guinea. You're Italian, you've come here, you
Yes.
enjoy the place as it is.
I think it's a great opportunity, as Mr. Martin said as well. It's a great opportunity to promote the country. Papua New Guinea, it's a treasure. The more I see it, the more I'm in love in this country. The more I travel, the more I see the potential for tourism, and not many people know about it. So bringing such an international event of this magnitude to Papua New Guinea will be a window of opportunities for Papua New Guinea also to. It's sort of a business card, Come and see what this country is all about. Don't just listen. The pieces of news that you hear here and there about Papua New Guinea. This is a different story, much more complex and much more beautiful than people know. So welcome the FIFA World Cup, and welcome to the people discover this country. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Marco. Now coming up after the break, a bit more serious news, and this time to do with FIFA. See you soon. Welcome back to Football First. Marco, the FIFA Ethics Committee is looking at lifetime bans for former FIFA president and former UEFA president
Michel Platini
and Josep Blatter.
Well, you can see the smile sort of disappear from our faces, and that's too bad, because we should always have a smile. But obviously this has been a bit of a sad story, also for the image of the association and the image of the sport. I mean, nobody wants to hear about football and hear about scandals, even though scandals do exist in many other sports. I mean, look at what's happening in tennis as well. But at the end of the day, I think what is important is that after 15 years, I think that Blatter has done a lot, and it's time to move on. I think I'm a man for, in favor of changes, and doesn't matter what position you have in your life. 15 years is a long time, so it will be good to see new faces. And it will be good to see new energy around the sport, because at the end of the day, we want to see kids playing football more than old people like ourselves. We want to see kids playing this fantastic sport, and they need to love it right from the beginning. So if you hear that there are scandals and you hear about millions of dollars paid as a sort of gentleman agreement between people that already are millionaires, it's a bit of a turn-off. And see, our smile is gone. But let's get our smile back, because this is a parenthesis that needs to be closed, and there is a new face for the sport. Yeah.
What do you think the new president elect, once the election happens, could be able to do to change that image of FIFA?
I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, Blatter did certain things that were good. I mean, he opened up the sport to third world countries. He was the first one that actually managed to organize a World Cup in Africa. I mean, let's face it, that was pretty amazing. Next would be Russia, and then will be the Middle East in Qatar, and for the first time in an Arab country. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, the potential of football in that part of the world is huge. I mean, there are millions and millions of people that are crazier than us about football. So I think he did well, but a new management, a new team will have to look beyond that and reach even further for the benefit of football. So I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to see this new image of FIFA for the years to come.
Now, just moving away from FIFA World News, in fact, coming up this weekend, something that can make us smile, a round 8 of the Telikom National Soccer League. And here's a look at some of the fixtures that will be happening over the weekend. On Saturday, the 23rd of January at Bicini, FC Port Moresby will take on Rapatona. Hekari United meet Irma Gulf FC, while over in Ley, hosts Ley City Dwellers take on Admiralty. Besta meet Welgris Morbe United, and over in Medang, Medang FC take on Goroka Gosia. While on Sunday, the last match at Bicini Football Park, that'll be between PS Huawei United and Gigira Laitepo FC. Well, Marco, it's been another glorious night on Football First. Big match this weekend, and that is, again, it still has to be the Olympic qualifiers between Papua New Guinea and New Zealand.
And the mighty New Zealand, yeah.
6 months ago, I asked you this question, and I will ask it to you again, Marco.
Oh, no.
Who's going to win?
I am so bad about that. And you know what? It's actually, that's the good thing about football. Nobody can ever guess what's going to happen because the ball is rounded and nobody knows. Even though you might have a favorite team versus another one, football tends to surprise everybody. Even somebody like me that has been playing football all my life, I never guess it, you know. So what to say? I will be happy with a draw, actually, because I think that will give us give Papua New Guinea a chance to play the second leg of the match of the game in New Zealand with that sort of advantage. Because even a draw home might not seem to be the best result, but I think it will be a good starting point to get the act together, because you have to think also there's a new coach that took the team not long ago, so they're being exposed to some international teams but not so many, and we'll have to see how they perform under the pressure. So I will be happy with a draw, but obviously everybody wants to see a win. Too bad it's not in Port Moresby. I would have been at the stadium watching this game live. Unfortunately, I can't fly to Ley just for that, but I wish I could, and I hope in the future we'll see more games in Port Moresby as well.
And thank you very much, Marco. Now, to the rest of the country, you can catch us every Wednesday nights, 8:30 p.m. as Marco Vendetti and I talk football. And Marco, thank you very much for your time here tonight. It's been a pleasure. To the rest of Papua New Guinea, good night.